What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got quite a big blog from Call of Duty outlining a bunch of the modes and content and various other things that we can expect for the launch of Black Ops 6. And there is some brand new information in here that we didn't know about previously, as well as it looks like at least a couple changes to some of the beta maps. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this, and we'll first just cover quickly the game modes that will be available at launch, keeping in mind, of course, more will become available as time goes on with the game. But obviously, for core game modes, we're going to have these standard modes like Team Deathmatch, Domination, Search and Destroy, Kill Confirmed, Free-for-all, Hardpoint, Headquarters, Kill Order, which is a new mode, but we had access to in the beta. Control is going to be in there as well. And then we've also got 2v2 Gunfight, of course, and various face-off modes, which are 6v6 played on the 2v2 maps, so the very small maps, no score streaks available on these ones. And with these, we have Domination, Team Deathmatch, Kill Order, and Kill Confirmed within those face-off modes. And they also confirmed the hardcore game modes will have available at launch as well. And these are Team Deathmatch, Kill Order, Domination, Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, Kill Confirmed, Free-for-all, and Face-Off Mosh Pit. So you won't be able to select individual face-off modes, it looks like. It'll just be a mosh pit. Now on top of that, of course, we do have the training course, which I believe it'll be the same training course we had available in the beta build of the game on the map Protocol. And now let's talk about the firing range. They did give us a sneak peek at the firing range, as well as a couple new features that they've got here. So with this, it is going to be largely the same as the firing range that we've had access to for the past couple years, with just a different look to it. So by default, you have practice dummies at 10, 25, and 50 meter intervals. You can add up to 3 armor plates to them as well. You obviously have unlimited ammo. And on the top left, you have your elimination tracker and accuracy tracker. And on top of that, something new is a damage tracker that will show up there as well. So that should make damage testing easier for me. There have been issues in the past where the firing range dummies were not accurate to actual character models, and that's still going to be a concern of mine. So I think I'm at least going to start the game doing all my testing against real character models, and then I'll try to match that up to see if those dummies end up being perfectly accurate or not. But in either case, that's one little feature that's new. Additionally, you can activate a moving target dummy or a recoil metal plate. And when it comes to that moving target dummy, they do mention that it's a dummy that'll drop down from the ceiling on a conveyor belt, and it will automatically move back and forth through the firing range. They don't mention here at any point that you can select how far that is away and make it stop at that exact range. Based on the description, it appears that's just going to be moving back and forth on its own and you can't actually control it. I hope that's not the case. It would be nice if we could stop it at exact intervals so we could do very detailed range testing as well. But time will tell on that one. I'm not going to hold my breath based on the description. However, we also have a recoil metal plate that can pop down, and that will be at a fixed location about 7 meters from your booth, and it will allow you to view the bullet holes as you fire your gun so you can see what the recoil pattern will look like quite easily. So overall, definitely some nice improvements to the firing range area. One thing I'm hoping for is a bit more room to move around, especially with Omni movement in the equation. I'd like to have at least a bit more space to move my character around, but I'm not going to expect that at this point. I know they have to keep things fairly small for that, so it's got like an instant load time. But that's the firing range. Next, they talk about theater mode a little bit, and as far as we can see, it's basically just going to have the same features of theater mode in the past. So you can switch between first person, third person, and a free flying camera. Your eliminations and deaths are going to be visualized on a timeline, so you can see exactly when those take place and find your highlights a little bit quicker. And you can fast forward and rewind. It's just the theater mode that we've come to know and expect. On top of that, they did mention private matches will be there, of course, at launch. And next, they went over the launch maps for multiplayer. Now for these, I'm not going to talk about every single one of these because we've already talked about the maps in great detail. We already have the map overviews from the past. But for the non-beta maps, at least the ones we haven't played on or seen actual gameplays on yet, I will show those because we do get some different images at least to give us a bit of a better look at various sections of the map. And with Payback here, for instance, it does appear to be quite small, quite a bit smaller than I initially thought just seeing the images. You guys might remember I did the map size comparison, and Payback turned out to be very small with my super basic comparison of that. Keeping in mind, I wasn't super confident in the results of that. It's probably a little bit bigger than it showed up there, but still quite a small map. Then with Red Card, we can see a few different images that show off a couple areas of the map that we haven't had a good look at yet. Then with SCUD, while this was a beta map, I wanted to point out it looks like the lighting is very different on this. Now, maybe they just did some post-processing with these images and their color grading was different, but I don't think that's the case. I think they actually adjusted the lighting a little bit on SCUD. And if that's the case, I'm actually on board with that. I think this looks a little bit better with this style of coloring. But after that, we've got Skyline, and I wanted to pay a little bit of attention to Skyline here because they've actually made an adjustment to the map. If you pay really close attention to the bottom right of the big image there, you can see a small staircase stepping down behind the hot tub area. That staircase didn't exist in the beta build of the game, and as a result, if you're trying to capture like the B domination point, which is right in that hot tub area, there's also a hard point location in there, you really couldn't get much cover, especially from the bar side of the map. Your best bet was to try to prone behind the hot tub, but then you were exposed to other angles, and it was just a really tricky area to capture. Whereas with these stairs now stepping down a little bit, you should be able to crouch behind that hot tub to get cover from the bar area, and you could potentially even stand to challenge those people, it looks like. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe this might also cut off the angle that you used to be able to get through this little slit in the wall right there toward the piano area, which I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I feel like that position is quite important to be able to challenge those people nicely as you're pushing through that side of the map, which generally that's already a not so great area to be pushing. At least that provided some way to push up there, pick those people off that were sitting behind the piano, and then move on. But of course, we'll have to wait to see how that one turns out. But in general, this should definitely make it a bit easier to play the objective, at least in domination with that B-dom point being there, or in hard point with that hard point location there. However, there is one concern here, especially from the competitive community, and this is the potential for stair glitching. Which, if you guys aren't familiar, if you go prone just on the right point of a stair, you can head glitch so heavily on the top of stairs that you are practically invisible. And yet you get a really nice sightline. You can see the enemy very clearly, and all they can see is literally just a few pixels of your head. And that's definitely a reasonable concern, I think, with these stairs being added into the equation right there. In either case, after that, we got some better looks at Subsonic. We haven't had some really good overhead views of this yet, so we definitely get a better indication of the scale of the map looking at it with this overhead shot. Then with Vault, we got a full-on fly-through in one of the multiplayer trailers. So we've already pretty much seen this whole map, but here's a few more images of that. And then finally, for the 6v6 maps at least, here are some new images of Rakuta that we got. And then getting into the strike maps, we got some better looks at Warhead as well. And this one's going to be that tiny Nuketown-like map that's in the game. Then after maps, let's get into the operators that will be available at launch. I'm not going to go through each one of these individually simply because I don't personally care that much about what the operators look like or anything, but I thought I'd at least show the general overview images here. So for the Rogue Black Ops faction, these are the operators that we'll have access to at launch. And you can see a couple of those are Zombies operators, Weaver and Maya. And then on the other side, we've got Crimson 1, and these are the operators that will be available at launch, with the Zombies operators being Carver and Gray. Now, more importantly, in this operator section of the blog post, they did show some individual images showing off the operators in greater detail. And with this, they also showed off some guns in greater detail than what we've seen up until this point, including the L85. This one has been leaked in the past. I don't think we've actually seen any official footage of this yet, or at least nothing that's been clear enough to confirm this. But there's the L85. After that, for the first time, we get a nice, really clean look at the Dragunov SVU as well that'll be in the game. We've had a few very blurry images of this, and it showed up in a mystery box at one point. This is the first nice, clear image we've had. And on a similar note, we see the RMC2, which is a very unique gun here. It's basically like a bullpup FAL. Again, we saw a super blurry image of this from mystery box footage from the past, but you could hardly even tell what the gun was based on that image, whereas now we get a much clearer image, which does appear to confirm that this is that RMC2. And that's it, at least for the guns that we haven't seen good, clear images of at this point. Of course, they did show off more guns that weren't in the beta or anything, but we've seen those pop up in various promotional materials in the past. These are just the main ones that I wanted to point out since it's the first time we get a nice good look at them. And with that, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. Definitely a bunch of new information in here. I like the fact that they're at least trying something different with Skyline. Of course, we'll have to see how that new area plays out. And when it comes to that firing range, I'm definitely looking forward to some of those additional features, although I do fear that the firing range will still feel a bit lacking in the features department. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Based on all of this new information I revealed today, how are you guys feeling about things? Like, how are you guys feeling about the changes to the hot tub side of the map on Skyline? Do you think that'll be a good change or not so much? And also, what are your thoughts on the firing range or anything else that was revealed in today's video? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.